I've spent most of my life learning to let go of the things that I used to believe were important. My father trained me to be a narcissist. I didn't know that, of course. He didn't know that either. I didn't understand that he was a narcissist because I didn't even know what clinical narcissism was. Neither one of us did. It never would have occurred to me, of course, because my father, who was the godlike central figure of my childhood, was my standard of everything that was right and normal. I've spent my adult life on a long journey of recovery from the programming that he put into me. It started while I was still in my late 20s, when I vaguely realized that something was wrong. That led to the realization that I had come from a very dysfunctional family, but even then I didn't really understand all of the details, and there was so much I didn't understand. There were so many layers of dysfunction to take apart, so much to deconstruct, if you want to use the modern term. And I had so much to learn in order to become an emotionally healthy adult. Even now, I keep finding more habits to unlearn. I keep realizing that I have beliefs that need to change. But as I take apart the old pieces of ugly dysfunction, brick by brick, in myself, I slowly replace them with something better. I am slowly becoming an emotionally healthy man. I never wanted to admit to myself just how dysfunctional I was when I was younger. Even when I realized I had been through something terribly dysfunctional, that my family had been dysfunctional, I couldn't see the effects that it had had on me and the way it had programmed me to treat other people. Maybe that would have been too scary for me at the time. Maybe my psyche couldn't have handled it. Maybe I needed to tell myself that I just had a few minor things to fix simply because it would have been too intimidating to see how much I had to change. It would have been too humiliating to realize that someone so close to perfect was so fatally flawed. When you're emotionally unhealthy, you can redefine negative things about yourself to make them seem like positive traits, or to make it seem as though whatever you do is simply a result of you being a victim of other people. I did that, and I never knew what I was doing. I wasn't grandiose. I was just ambitious and talented. I wasn't thin-skinned and overly sensitive. Of course not. The people around me were simply rude and didn't understand me. It was their fault. Everything was their fault. I wasn't arrogant when I routinely broke other people's rules, even the rules of people who I was supposed to be working for. Other people were simply controlling, and their rules were constricting, so I broke them. Every boss I had was the stupidest person on earth, so I was right to ignore his orders, of course. I wasn't a perfectionist. Oh, no. I just had really high standards. I didn't have an excessive need for praise and attention. No, I was simply a star who deserved validation. And other people were idiots for not appreciating my obvious greatness. I didn't say those things, of course, not even to myself. If you had accused me of any of that, I would have vehemently denied all of it, and I would have been genuinely outraged at the insult. But just beneath the surface, that's the way I felt. I found ways to take every one of my questionable habits and beliefs and turn them into evidence that the world was wrong and that I was superior. It It's been a very long and winding road to understanding all of these inner deceptions. I've slowly tried to see myself and reality in honest ways. That has meant accepting that I was more like my father in dangerous ways than I could have accepted at the time. Even though I never became the full-fledged narcissist he was, I learned more of his traits than I ever would have wanted to admit to myself. I've had to give up some things that I thought were core parts of who I was. I've had to give up grandiose ideas about myself. I had to give up the fantasy that I was going to save the world. I know that sounds insane. I had to give up the notion that everyone was going to love me and praise me. I had to give up my core belief that I was somehow special, that I was secretly better than everybody else. I'm slowly replacing all of that ugliness with things that reflect who I really am, for both good and bad. Healing means that I'm slowly learning how to be normal. I wish I could have grown up with healthy mental habits and healthy inner beliefs about myself. I wish I could have been emotionally healthy when I was trying to build a company in the past. I wish I could have seen the truth about myself and about the world in time to give myself more time to build on what I learned. More time when I was younger. But I didn't know those things as a child. I didn't know them when I was 30. I didn't even know them 10 years ago. But I do know them now. All I can do now is to live my life in a normal and healthy way and pray that I'm lucky enough to make up for lost time by building the life that I wish I had been able to create many, many years ago.